Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. So let me just tell you right now, this video was so long, I had to cut it into two separate videos. I apologize, but it had to be done, okay? So this is part one, and then there'll be a part two. Let's get there, shall we? Let's go. We are starting off with Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. She was at an RNLI lifeboat handover at Windsor Castle. The boat was named after the late Queen Elizabeth II. It is a Mercy class all-weather lifeboat. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce, as usual, for showing me everything she was wearing. Moving on. Let's move on now to Beatrice, who was at the International Telecommunications Union, where she had some discussions on tech areas like artificial intelligence and how digital inclusions for everyone benefits the tech community. There was some sort of an award ceremony that Beatrice was involved in, and she spoke with the finalists and the winners. Congratulations. Let's move on now to Prince William. Now, we know that he was always the son that was very, restrained and proper and formal. But it seems that in the last few years, he has become a hugger. I love that. He just, people want to hug him. He just hugs them back. The one thing that caught my attention about this article is that it says that it was always noted in the past how William resembled Diana in appearance, and now he's added the warmth of her gestures, and she would be proud. Yeah, I think she would be. Moving on. Let's move on next to King Charles. He had community and faith leaders come to Buckingham Palace, and they had discussions about the challenges that their communities are facing and how fellowship and cohesion can be fostered. Then they talked about how important it was to engage young people. These are the kind of discussions, especially in today's climate, that need to occur. Way to go, King Charles. Wow, I love this picture. All right, moving on, but sticking with King Charles, he received the ambassador of Sweden, Stefan Gullgren, during an audience at Buckingham Palace. He also received the ambassador of Senegal, General Wade, also at Buckingham Palace. Next up, King Charles was with the Westonbirt Arboretum Forestry of England. Now, what they do is they have over 15,000 specimen trees from all over the world. People can go and, escape and relax and walk through there. And the king went with their staff and planted a Wollemi pine tree, which is a critically endangered tree. Who would thought that, trees could be in danger? Anyway, with other botanical gardens across Europe and the United States and Australia, they're going to have the first global meta collection, which is a botanical collection to research and conserve for the future. Love it. All right, one more thing for King Charles. He's going to be visiting Canada in the spring of 2024. This will be his first visit to a British realm since his coronation in May. Now, we know that he made one trip to the Commonwealth so far when he went to Kenya, but this is different. I think this is going to be great, and he's going with Camilla. Moving on. This is really cool. I wanted to cover this really quickly. James Middleton, Catherine's brother, and his wife went to the Dogs Trust Carol concert at Chelsea's Old Church Thursday night. James Middleton gave a reading of a poem that's titled What I Learned About Love, I Learned from My Dog. And he brought golden retrievers Mabel and Ilsa with him. I think that's lovely that they have these kinds of things for animals. Pretty cool. Moving on. All right, I did have to say that I thought it was a little odd when the royal family put out their Christmas photo that Harry and Meghan didn't immediately put theirs out, because that's what they do. But according to Teresa Longo, their Christmas card is on hold because they're having crisis meetings. They're not sure if they're related to the crisis meetings. So what's being said is that the photo they want to release is of the Queen with their daughter. But the problem is the rights to the photo belong to the palace. Moving on. All right, next up. Netflix released their top 10 most viewed shows in 2023. Guess what? Harry and Meghan's show was not on the list. By the way, neither was Suits. So it looks like they've been lying. Netflix has been lying about the numbers, just like Spotify lied and said that the podcast was #1, and then come to find out it wasn't #1. Well, officially it came out that their show was less popular than Peppa Pig. Like, what? The show did not do well. And once again, we have Netflix and them changing the numbers, trying to make people think that the show was just so popular and it was just the top show and blah, blah, blah. And come to find out, that's a lie. The show was a flop, which may be why we're about to go into 2024 and they only have a year left in their contract and Harry and Meghan have done nothing. Now, remember, they only get that money from Netflix if they produce something. Since they're not producing anything, they're not getting paid. That's why they're hanging on to the $8 million in Archwell. All right, this is a non-story, but I'm bringing it up anyway. Apparently, when Harry was out drinking and partying when he was younger, he was at some sort of a wild party, and he saw a poster of his grandmother on the wall, and so he walked up to it and ripped it off the wall because he didn't want his grandmother to see him partying, if you can believe that. Supposedly, it was an underground club in Chelsea. There was all sorts going on. This guy says that Harry ripped off his t-shirt, he was kissing on this guy, and then he ripped a photo of the Queen off the wall saying, I can't have her watch me doing this, okay? There was a secret door celebrities could use, which was surrounded by security cameras. I have to be honest, am I surprised by this? I mean, alcohol was his drug of choice when he was younger, and now it's marijuana, cocaine, magic mushrooms, psychedelics. Nothing's changed. Moving on. All right, this is really cool. I had to bring this up. Unbelievable. Remember this blind item I showed you that said that with the bridges burned, Omid was going to turn his sights on Harry and Meghan? It's happening. It's coming out now that Jack Royston, sugar #2, because Scobie is sugar #1, are now going on the record to publicly distance themselves. Jack Royston wrote an article where he quotes Omid Scobie to say that to gain the respect of the reader, you have to be completely human in your betrayal, transparent in your betrayal of yourself. About Spare, Omid Scobie said, and I'm quoting, I think anyone picking up Spare and expecting it to be the kind of balanced, unbiased take on this should find a good piece of journalism because that's not what you get in the memoir. He said it just wasn't a surprise to me. Just like when they sat down in Oprah, we were never going to hear anyone else's side of the story other than their own. And it's the same with the Spare. Oh my. Moving on. Now, in the middle of all of this, Harry has been warned, because we know what happened in court, right? He's been warned that he's going to be financially ruined if he doesn't stop some of these cases. Remember, when these cases were put into place, he had the Spotify deal, the Netflix deal, and now, of course, those are not working out for him. So, of course, the news had something to say. Listen to this.
Harry has been hit where it hurts. The Duke of Sussex ordered to pay news outlet Mail on Sunday nearly $92,000 in damages as part of his ongoing libel case against the British newspaper.
Let's bring in former Palace Press Secretary Dickie Arbiter in London. Dickie, this is not good for Harry. Take us through the court's findings.
This is not good for Harry at all. The story emanates in the Mail on Sunday in January last year, in which they ran an exclusive saying that Harry was going to lose his security. His PR people then came on the line to try and control the narrative to say he had offered to pay. The Mail on Sunday ran a subsequent story in February saying that RAVAC, which is the Royal VIP Executive Committee, had received no such request, and that's what Harry's going on. He says his integrity has been damaged. He's not going to be happy that he's lost this part.
No, not only that he's lost, but he's got to pay $92,000. What do you think would be going through his head right now?
Yeah, well, you say $92,000, that's only the start of it. That's a deposit that's got to be paid by the end of this month. And if both sides, that's the Mail on Sunday and Harry's team, can't agree on costs, then Justice Hinklin is going to assess the costs and Harry's going
it appears
his own way.
Oh, that's tough. We almost lost you there, Dickie, but we got you back right at the very end. We'll leave it there. Dickie Arbiter, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, not good start for Harry for those court things, is it?
No.
So $92,000, $93,000, and that's just a deposit. This, you guys, with all the attorneys involved, this could run into the millions. Moving on. All right, you guys, that is the end of part 1. Let's head on over to part 2. Stay with me. Here we go.